going a little stir crazy, so I figured I would post more of my autograph collection for you guys to see and hopefully enjoy. So back in the 80s, I was writing celebrities, and to be honest with you, I was picking the ones I thought would write back, and a lot of them did. Now, Monty Hall was one of the first, and for guys that don't live in America or aren't old enough, he hosted a TV show for many, many years called Let's Make a Deal. And I always liked him, and I sent him a genuine fan letter, and I got a nice picture back. Julie Harris, I did write too. She was in East of Eden with James Dean. That's how I know her most, and that's why I wrote her. And she wrote me back a very nice note, a little nice photograph in 1990. Let's see, Kevin Fagan. He was a guy who did a comic strip called Drabble, and I wrote him a fan letter because it was a funny comic strip. And I don't even know if he's still doing that or not, but I really enjoyed that. That was 1991, and I wrote him and told him so. So let's see what else is going on here. Kevin Fagan. Alan Hale, the skipper from Gilligan's Island, when he passed away, I wrote his wife a sympathy note, and her nickname was Trinket. And I wrote Mrs. Hale that note, and I just expressing my sympathies. And a couple of months later, I got this note back from Mrs. Hale saying, your note was most appreciated. Thank you sincerely for caring. So the skipper's wife signed this. Her nickname was Trinket, so Trinket Hale. This is a curiosity. My friend E.J. Fleming, writer, historian E.J. Fleming, sent me this as a gift. And this was a note that was left at Rock Hudson's house. When Rock Hudson did that appearance on Dynasty, it became very controversial because he kissed Linda Evans, and then it came out later on that he was very sick with HIV. This is a note that was at Rock Hudson's estate. Linda Evans received flowers, and the note says her secretary called and asked if the flowers were actually from Rock. She thought it might have been someone's sick joke. Susan, the assistant, assured assured they were from here, and so that's just a curiosity. And thank you, EJ, for sending that to me. This is a note I got from Leda Edmond, who was a go-go dancer on Hullabaloo, and now she's a personal trainer. And Leda Edmond Jr. She was the LaRue. I mean, you'll see. I'll send you. Maybe I'll set a clip of it in the comments. But she was a pretty cool, fun person to find. I showed up, or I hung out in an episode of Jerry Springer when they did a reunion with the Beverly Hillbillies, and Steve Cox was my friend who wrote this book, and he invited me along. So I got to hang out for a day with Buddy Ebsen, Max Baer, Louis Nye, who played Sonny Drysdale, and Donna. So Donna, Max, and Buddy and Louis Nye were there, and so was my buddy Steve, and that was a legendary day for me. And I had a fascinating dinner with Max Baer, and we talked about Irene Ryan and Nancy Culp. That was a fun day. And before Jerry Springer went total trash, he was actually doing fun shows. I got this autographed in person. Stanley Kramer, the director of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and Marvin Kaplan, the actor. It's a mad world. And meeting Stanley Kramer was a real honor. Also that day I met Mabel King, who was the mother in What's Happening, and that was a trippy meet. I'll have to tell you that story one day. It was something else. Tab Hunter, I got this from Tab Hunter before he passed away. His boyfriend, a longtime partner, and a friend of mine took the tour and offered to get Tab to autograph some things for me, and he did. Richard Keel, who is in the James Bond movies and also in this Serving Man episode of The Twilight Zone. He was an enormous man. That was his thing. And my friend Jane Osborne and I met him at an autograph show, and he put down his lunch, and I'll show you the picture. It was fun. He was a funny guy. George Kennedy, I met him at an autograph show too, and he sent me that. Gordie Howe, I met him he's a hockey player, the Red Wings. I mean, he's a legend, and he was a hero in our house growing up. And I met him in an auto show, and he was handing these things out. I met Jesse Owens there too, and a few other people. But Jesse Owens, I mean, the Olympic runner. Hitler. I mean, that was a crazy story. I met Al Kaline at one of those autograph shows too. He was just handing these things out, though they're not autographed. The Gordie Howe thing was. Eartha Kitt, I met her at Tower Records on Sunset. She was signing this CD, and she posed for a photograph. She would pose for photographs, and she had that whiplash smile when the camera came out. That was a big smile, and then as soon as it went away, it was like boom, it dropped. But it was an interesting CD, and her version of Moon River was pretty interesting. I liked it a lot. Bernie Koppel, most famous for being in The Love Boat. This is Nastassja Kinski, who was in the movie Tess. Roman Polanski, and of course, whenever I meet these people, I have to ask them about Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate. But she had really no revelation, just that it was an interesting experience. Sally Kellerman, this is another one that I met because I paid for her autograph at an autograph show, because she used to be represented by a man named Rudolph Altobelli, who owned the house on Cielo Drive. And I just asked her about Altobelli, and she really droned on for quite a long time about nothing, and at not even a level that anyone could understand. So we were there leaning. I think she did it on purpose to fuck with us. But anyway, it was interesting to meet her, even though she brought nothing to the table as far as stories. Tommy Kirk with Annette Funicello. Here's Nancy Kwan, who was in The Wrecking Crew with Sharon Tate. And there she is with Bruce Lee, who was the fight choreographer for that movie. And she only had nice things to say about Bruce Lee and Sharon Tate. And she said the same of Dean Martin. And I said, oh, he was just wasted when he was making that movie through the whole thing, and she didn't. She just giggled because she wasn't going to volunteer that information. But I think that was her way of confirming it. But she was very, very kind. The cast of Happy Days was at one of those shows, minus Ron Howard. I did get a chance to talk to Tom Bosley briefly, and when I mentioned to him that I loved his episode of Night Gallery where he sold his eyes to Joan Crawford, he lit up, I guess, because I was not asking him about Happy Days.
Well, it may have seemed like it was in Milwaukee, but for 10 seasons, the Cunninghams lived on this street. Just over here is the Cunninghams' house from Happy Days. This is where they shot it here in Hollywood, though it has that sort of Anywhere USA look. Now, Tom Bosley was the star, or one of the stars of Happy Days. He was also known for the Father Dowling mysteries and the best episode of Night Gallery with the eyeballs when Joan Crawford bought his eyes because he was in debt. Tom Bosley died in Rancho Mirage, California on October 19th, 2010. He was 83 years old of lung cancer. Now, originally, I believe Happy Days was supposed to be his show, but then Henry Winkler became so popular that it became his show as Fonzie. And at the beginning credits for a few seasons, you could actually see them driving up the driveway right there, Fonzie on his motorcycle, and also the guys in a hot rod as well. So this is it, the Cunningham's house. And as I understand it, this house actually has an agent. Some houses in Los Angeles have people that represent it for commercials. And I remember one time I saw a Postal Service commercial that was shot here, and I took some pictures of it. So this is it, the Cunningham's house. Rest in peace, Tom Bosley, and your eyeballs.
Gail Gordon, Mr. Mooney. I wrote him a fan letter. I'm not sure that's authentic signature. It might be just something that they pre-printed. Bob Hope, somebody gave me this. I don't know who this is. Joe Wright thinks. Somebody gave me this. It was not worth very much, I guess, because it was ripped up, but I accepted it. Pee Wee Herman, who signs, interesting, his autographs, Pee Wee Herman, not Paul Rubens, and I asked him to sign Long Live Jambi, because Jambi is one of my favorite characters on Pee Wee's Playhouse. Swish. Did someone say swish? Another childhood hero of mine, Detroit. This is a Detroit thing. Sir Graves Ghastly. Lawson Deming was his name, and he was the Saturday afternoon movie host. And he sent me that when I wrote him a letter. And another Detroit host I got an autograph from my friend Laura, is the Ghoul, who passed away recently. Both Lawson Deming and the Ghoul are both dead now. But they were big Detroit celebrities. Terry Garr, of course. We love Terry Garr from Young Frankenstein and a whole lot of different movies. And the Watusi on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which, if you haven't seen before, you should, because it's good fun. Jaws, she was a dancer in all those beach movies and on television, and Tony Basil and Annette, and I mean, she was something, man. She was huge in pop dancing, trendy dancing in the '60s, go-go's and cages and stuff. Carl Gottlieb, who was a screenwriter for Jaws, which is one of my favorite movies, and there he is in the movie. And there's them. Yeah, I love Jaws, one of my favorites. Mark Goddard, who was Don on Lost in Space, the original Lost in Space. Although I like the remake of Lost in Space, he was the original, and him and Guy Williams, and I love both those guys for all sorts of reasons. But he was also the person who found Karen Kupcinet's body, who was Irv Kupcinet's daughter, who was the columnist in Chicago. And Irv Kupcinet's daughter, Cookie Kupcinet, was murdered here in Hollywood and is still an unsolved crime. And Mark Goddard is the one who found her body. And they even associated her a little bit with the JFK assassination, which is fascinating. But yeah, Mark Goddard. This is just a note from John Wayne Gacy. I did write Gacy a letter because I was interested in buying one of his paintings. And he wrote me back along with, it says, enclosed, please find information that you requested. Thanks for writing. Regards, John. And he sent me, this is the, I sent him a self-addressed stamped envelope, and this is his, this is dated '93, with a catalog that he sent of all the things that you could buy from him, autographed, all the different paintings, and Pogo, $1.99, and Patches the Clown, $1.99. Christ had $100. I actually bought the Seven Dwarfs for $100 from him. You'd send him $300 and anything, he would paint anything. And then that would have been a real curiosity to do. I don't know, but he did send this information. More letters to Mr. Gacy, selected correspondence. So that was my correspondence with Gacy. Alice Ghostly, who played Esmeralda on Bewitched and Bernice on Designing Women, she actually took my tour, and she was wearing glasses, and she was with some friends, sunglasses, and she took her glasses off. I said, "I know you," and we ended up getting along great. She gave me no dish, but she did tell me that I asked her if Agnes Moorehead was a lesbian. I asked her straight out. She said, "I heard that too," so she didn't give me any information there. But I did come to learn later on that she and Paul Lynde were both from Northwestern University, and they both knew each other from there, and they were both sort of had the same mannerisms. And I come to learn that it was actually Paul Lynde that borrowed very heavily from Alice Ghostly, not the other way around. So, but that was really fun. Having Alice Ghostly on the tour was a blast. John Gilmore, the writer, who wrote many books about Marilyn and James Dean and Hollywood in general, and actually we did a tour with him. John Gilmore's Hollywood, and he was a really, really nice guy, and a big supporter of Dearly Departed tours. James Garner, I wrote him I guess that's personal. It does have my name on it, but I was a big James Garner fan too. Let's see what else do I have here. This one was given to me by somebody. That's Lillian Gish, of course, a legend, and Night of the Hunter. Oh my God. So, but yeah, Lillian Gish, silent film star. And one day I'll tell you the story about Molly Ringwald and Lillian Gish and me. Kathy Garver, Sissy from Family Affair, the TV show. And let's see what else is here. Oh, I did correspond with Alice Ghostly's sister for quite a while. Gladys Ghostly was her name, and she very kindly sent me one of the funeral cards from her, from Alice Ghostly's funeral. In fact, I think this is it. She sent me that, which was the memorial card that was handed out at Alice Ghostly's funeral, along with a nice note. Thank you so much for coming today to celebrate Alice's life. My sister and Felice, her husband, would not want us to be sad, but to enjoy life. So it was very, very kind of her to send me that. A nice autograph from Lisa Gibbons, who I did work with. I think I had her in my last batch. She hired me to do work on her show, and in fact, this is I think a Christmas card I got from her. Yeah, no, she was sweet. Lisa Gibbons, a real sweetheart. Liked her very much. I did write Andy Griffith a fan letter, and he sent me that back. And this is a note I got from Lainey Kazan. because she was in Lust in the Dust with Divine. That's not the only guy. My gosh, she had a huge career as a singer mostly, and also an actress. And I asked her to autograph my Lust in the Dust poster, and she did. And then she said she wanted one, or she mentioned that she wanted one, so I sent it to her. And she sent me this nice note saying that she'd been longing for one for a long time. So that's it for today's batch. I'll be back soon with more. Thanks for watching.